The 10th, 2026. Here we go again. 710 KNUS and good morning. 45 will be the high today, and tomorrow 55, and on Monday 60, and Tuesday 61 degrees. So the warmth returns. 710 KNUS, and thank you and good morning. Lines are wide open. We're going to do a couple of hours of open lines, and then Dr. Brian Jundepp. We haven't had Dr. Jundepp with us for a while, and Ellen Graham with us. They're going to be in studio at 11 o'clock in the morning, and also Scott Schultz, the Colorado Motorcycle Expo, is headed your way. Let us now begin. 303-696-1971. I was listening to Caldera. My view of that is pretty simple. These guys have been, they dox them and they follow them and they take them as far as their homes and where they live and where their kids go to school and, you know, where they, if they go to church and everything that they can do to just tear into their lives. And, you know, it ends there. I watch these things and what this is really all about. Last night, hundreds of protesters marched in Denver and downtown against the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And the protests in Denver followed Wednesday's deadly shooting of Renee Good, the 37-year-old mom who, of three, she had one of the three children with her. The shooting happened in a neighborhood south of downtown Minneapolis, and protests were nationwide. And again, that right to do so, but where do you go from there? I take that part of open lines, and I do want to talk, and this is significant, about the United States' involvement in regime change. And if you look at the foreign policy decisions of my country, your country, there's a lot to have to stand for. And again, what we have been involved in since the 19th century, this country has participated and interfered, very and often very costly replacement of government. And the latter half of the 19th century, the United States government initiated action for regime change. If that's some of these instances are duly elected governments that we simply overthrow. But the Spanish-American War, the Philippine-American Wars, the onset of the 20th, the Banana Wars, the Banana Republic Wars, the United States shaped or installed governments in many countries around the world. Hawaii, Panama, just our neighbors, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico. I was making a list. Haiti, the DR, it goes on and on. Cuba, Guatemala in 54, Dominican Republic in 65. Haiti, the United States occupied Haiti before the beginning of the First World War. Remember Grenada in 83, Bolivia in 71, Allende, Iran, Congo, we go on and on and on. So, this now the United States is occupying Venezuela. So we have lines are all jammed up. We can have some conversations. I got a lot to read already coming in on text messaging. We'll begin with begin with Don in Lakewood. Don, you're on a radio show. Good morning and thank you.
Hey, good morning, Peter. Quick note to Adam. I can't hear the radio broadcast or anything until you come on.
Oh, man.
I had the same issue with Caldera earlier. So when you're on hold, you can't hear anything.
Okay. The guys have heard it. Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Okay. So, first of all, last week you and I talked. You asked me a question of what was next after Venezuela, and I told you Iran. You kind of poo-pooed at that.
Mm-mm.
What do you think about Iran?
I didn't stop there. I didn't poo-poo it. I just don't think it's something that the United States. And again, if you look at where we have intervened before, in 1953, the CIA overthrew a duly elected prime minister. His name was Mohammad Mossadegh, and brought the Shah back. And that caused tremendous problems for years. Donald Trump says, "Don't shoot, we'll shoot you." Don, no, stay out of it. I don't think one way or the other. Please, I mean,
Well,
that's not a place for us to be.
I understand what your opinion is, but the question was, you asked what was next, and I said Iran, and I think Iran, one, is emboldened by a lot of things that's been going on. I think a lot of it started when we went in with Israel and actually did something, and the people have been clamoring for a while and raising some resistance. I think it's going into a full-blown. I don't know whether it'll be they cut off the internet. I don't know what Iran's going to end up with, but I think that we're going to have some serious involvement there soon, because I believe that what we're seeing is Trump's effect going around a lot of different places in the world. It was interesting earlier on your newscast, I believe it was you, might have been on Fox real early this morning, about all these Latin American countries whose economies are starting to do pretty good. It's an interesting time.
Well, by the way, it's a good call. Thank you. It's a precarious time. It's I mean,
in the 60s.
Yeah, but if you look, and I watched early this morning on Fox, they had the news conference with the president and then the oil company execs. I don't know if you saw that, but oil always seems to be the currency, whether it's Kuwait or Venezuela or Iran, and it's dangerous in terms of, if you go back and read about what happened in '53, where the CIA backed the coup that overthrew a duly elected official, Mohammed Mossadegh, and put
and
the
why
Shah.
did they do that? What did Mossadegh do?
He nationalized the oil. He
nationalized the oil.
Yeah, well, and the reason was doing is it was British Petroleum and Aramco. They were buying the oil at a very low rate in the world. The Shah was a fool, but it was also environmental crimes, we would call them today. And it was the Iranians said it's our oil, and they overthrew the Shah. And then they they did not overthrow the Shah. They had an election. The election said, we don't want the Shah, and the Shah goes to Egypt, and I think was water skiing, and MI6 and the CIA overthrew this duly elected prime minister. Now, that's 1953. So, do with that as you may. But, and now we face what we face.
Okay, so freshen me up here a little bit. After the sun got in, what happened with the oil production and the environmental and the disbursements? I know the American oil companies went in and British oil companies went in and really made a desert into a wonderful place to live and work, if I recall that. Yeah, a lot of housing, stores, that kind of stuff, which Iran was kind of a progressive country.
Well, the Iran was a Iran. Yeah,
I told over.
Iran was a monarchy ruled by the Shah, Reza Pahlavi. The Shah.
Right.
And they discover oil in Iran in the 19th century, and remember they overthrow during the Second World War. The UK and USSR and the United States all became involved in Iranian affairs, and this joint Anglo-Soviet invasion of Iran in 1941, Iranian officials began to notice the British taxes were increased while the royalties to Iran declined. And so the British subsequently were gaining more revenue from Anglo-Iranian oil than the Iranians. And
back in the early days, was Lawrence in Arabia part of that?
No. Lawrence was first.
He didn't reach that far.
No. And plus, he was dealt in the Arab world, and the Iranians aren't Arabs, and The CIA
Right.
began. I mean, if no, Lawrence was long gone. The CIA supported the Shah, and that Pahlavi was weak. The British strongly backed the Shah. The U.S. Claimed neutrality, but the CIA had launched Operation Ajax, and it was directed by Kermit Roosevelt Jr., TR's son, and they overthrew a duly elected prime minister, and the coup saw the transition from Pahlavi, from a constitutional monarch, to he becomes very authoritarian when they put him back on the throne. It's a sadness that we participate in the world. And Guatemala, I mean, the Central American stuff. I made a list.
United Fruit.
Oh, the United Fruit. When the United Fruit goes into Nicaragua, into Guatemala,
They overthrew our bans.
Overthrew our Benz in '54.
Who were some big shareholders in United Fruit? Alan and his brother, John
sure.
Foster.
Absolutely.
What does that tell you?
Yeah, and if you read Chesty Puller's book, Marine, and we were talking about Chesty Puller last week, it's known as the Banana Wars. And at the end of the Spanish-American War and the inception of United Fruit and those multinationals, again, it's back to this, it's ours. And in Chile, Allende, they said that because that's the big copper producer, Anaconda, and that was in '73, I think, and they said, that copper's ours. So they overthrew a duly elected, his name was Allende. He was a Marxist, but the people voted
What
for
country was that in?
Chile.
In Chile. Okay.
And
I kind of remember that.
Well, then comes Pinochet, and Pinochet is a dictator, and Pinochet is the disappearos. We play this game, and that's when I'm looking at Venezuela and thinking, is this just more of the same of our government, this government, overthrowing people that you don't like, and saying, this morning I listened to President Trump say, that's our oil. No, it's not our oil. It's in another country, Venezuela. Now, the United States, the multinational oil companies built the equipment to get the oil, and they were selling the oil. But President Trump said that's our oil. Richard Nixon said it's in essence it is our copper. Well, it was in Chile.
Do they have agreements with these countries to go in and
No,
build
the multinationals are, and the United States interferes in these countries principally because of the raw materials that are there, or it's a threat. And again, the Cold War too. At the end of Second World War, the U.S. and the Soviet Union, and they're trying to have global leadership and influence and security. And that's when Harry Truman, the Truman Doctrine, Truman corollary to the Monroe Doctrine kicks in. I mean, there's all this, and when the dissolution of the Soviet Union comes, the United States has supported wars to determine who's going to govern several countries. In Afghanistan, you can see the U.S. Supposedly the weapons of mass destruction, the Iraq War. You overthrow Saddam. I don't know. I mean, I spent my whole week reading about rereading and rereading again. Our country's been involved in numerous government overthrows, including the 53 Iranian coup we talked about, 54 Guatemala. In the Congo was Patrice Lumumba. In Chile, it was Pinochet. In Haiti, Aristide. In Nicaragua, Indonesia, Sukarno, Libya, Gaddafi. In Afghanistan, we create the Taliban. I'm not running my country down because I love my country, but we grabbed this country in Venezuela. And
what's your opinion, Peter, on countries that are blatantly performing human rights violations, and the UN that lets these people come sit and become members?
Oh, the world is full of those people. I
mean,
mean,
what's your opinion?
How do
we fix that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question.
Get out of the UN?
No, the UN's a joke.
Yeah, we should get out, right?
Oh, when the Rockefellers gave them the land in New York, and it was this ideal that followed the end of the Second World War, and the same thing occurred in the First World War. Remember, the League of Nations. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I mean,
that was your boy Wilson, wasn't it? Our boy Wilson.
He wanted it, and but people got up and walked out. The Japanese walked out. The Germans walked out. There are bad places in the world, but ask yourself if we are the world's cop, because we certainly become the world's cop at times when it's necessary, particularly for the bidding of the multinational.
Well, I support getting out of the UN, have for a long time. I support NATO and having the participants help pay their own way.
But remember, NATO...
But you got to have somebody... Go ahead.
NATO was created as a block against the Soviets. Well, Soviets aren't there anymore.
That's not if the Soviets could be there, they might be.
But they're not. I mean,
look what they're doing. Look what they're doing with the Ukraine. If they get a hold of Ukraine, what's next?
That's a different. Once again, it's a different. Because remember, there's Poland, Albania. They were all in the Soviet bloc, and NATO was on one side, and Warsaw Pact it was called, which was the Soviet version of NATO. Well, there is no Soviet Union. Now Warsaw is liberated and free and running their own show. So I don't know why NATO even exists. There's another one called CETO, and CETO was South Atlantic. I don't know why that exists, but they do. They both, this is a very interesting moment to watch. I don't know what's going to happen.
I think the next 6 months are going to be like something you and I have never seen.
I think I'll take the next 6 weeks.
Or maybe the next 6 minutes.
No, absolutely. I mean, I was watching the president this morning early and talking with these oil, and they're saying much what Nixon said about Chile, about when they overthrew Allende. And what gets in there was a dictator, Pinochet.
Hey, I hear the music. You got to run. Good chatting with you. Have a great
You
weekend.
too, brother. Thanks. We have a line open, 303-696-1971. What do you think? We can talk about Minneapolis, or we can talk about Venezuela. Calls are out there. Here we go. Shotgun. Saturday morning, January 10th, 2026, 7:10 KUS. I'm Peter Boyles. The line is open, 303-696-1971, 45 the high, and it's 55 tomorrow. I'm happy to talk to you about my friends at Water Pros, and the pros care about the quality of your water, and I talk about this all the time. Take the test. They use reverse osmosis drinking water systems fully installed. But to start the process, go to waterpros.net, sign up for your free in-home consultation. They come to the family unit, they come to your home, they test your water, they answer all the questions and concerns about your water. I trust these guys, and water changes. And you'll go, man, this is much better, and indeed it is. Water Pros, family-owned, veteran-owned business dedicated to providing you with the best in water treatment for less than the other guys. Water Pros. Call them and ask them to come and do the test. 303-862-5554. Pretty simple. 303-862-5554. Ask for the Peter Boyles special. Get your water tested. It's great, and it's easy, and it's free. Let me read the wall. Aramco was certainly mutually beneficial to the Americans and oil companies and Saudi Arabia. Yeah, but it was an agreement. Aramco's not in all countries, but certainly with the Sauds, it's an agreement. Next, during Trump's press conference with the oil guys, I thought they were going to wheel out a big cake with a map of Venezuela on the frosting. That is from The Godfather when they rolled out Cuba. Communism is the excuse for overthrowing countries. That's fairly true. Did you see the U.S. military dropped a bomb on the Hugo Chavez Memorial on the way out of Venezuela? Yeah, I did. Peter, Christy Nome is ridiculous. Huge cowboy hat, her costume du jour. It's hideous. Botox, evil snow queen who delights in reporting pain of others. And then finally, the government doxed him themselves by describing the injury in number of stitches. Journalists, not activists, went through court records and found him. Yeah, that newspaper did, and they cheered it on. All right, so we go now to William in Aurora. William, thank you very much for waiting. You're on the show.
So, interesting conversation about Venezuela, and I want to talk about immigration. Do you want to transition
Sure,
to that?
Anything you wish. Go ahead.
So, about a year ago, I started deep diving into immigration, and in 2 weeks, I'm going to give an adult education course called a fact-based course, and one of the subjects is going to be immigration. And so, it's a curious little maneuver that's been going on since we created the laws in the 50s that said that illegal immigration was illegal. Maybe the most important one is in the Bush administration, there was signed a thing called the Secure Communities Act.
Yes,
And by the way, that was passed by a Democrat-controlled Congress. And that basically mandated that if you were arrested in the United States, you were supposed to be fingerprinted, and that was uploaded. That would go to both the FBI and ICE. And it may have been INS in those days. I don't remember which acronym it was. But the point about it is, Bush started implementing that, and then Obama kind of went crazy and really implemented, and was, they call him the deporter-in-chief because as of now, he's deported more illegals than anybody else. But what happened was this. There was some mistakes made, not unlike what just happened in Minneapolis. They deported some people that shouldn't have been deported. They arrested some people that shouldn't be, and it looked bad in press. And so they started this sanctuary city thing where cities started stopping.
Sanctuary, when Denver brought in sanctuary, we put up 3 billboards, and they said, relax, you've made it. Sanctuary cities were questionable in the first place, but it was Wellington Webb, and they were doing their best to stop anybody from finding. And that led us into the story that we really got deeply involved in, where an ICE agent contacted me, and Bill Ritter was the district attorney, and he was giving agricultural trespasses to illegals to keep them from being deported. And Bill and I at one time were very close friends, and this was the break. A friendship was destroyed over this, and I hunted for farms in Denver and couldn't find one. And then finally the story, and this is what got the ICE agent in trouble, he gave me the info on an illegal heroin dealer that Bill Ritter had given an ag trespass to. The guy went out to San Francisco and molested a little girl. And that really caused big problems, and that started, I found out some really underhanded things were taking place by the district attorney's office, by others, and they attempted to destroy this young man's life. And we defended him. They took him all the way because he had gone into the computers to give us information to continue that fight. And it was a hell of a fight, William. And he was kicked off the job, and some of the same people that were involved in deporting that idiot out of Thailand who claimed he had been the Ramsey murderer. His name was John Carr, I think was his name. And so the internet connection, and that's the first time I really started to try and understand ICE, and I think you're right. I think it was the other organization, but we put up the billboards. We got involved in the fight, and I went to school about how it worked. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I know a little bit about this.
So in the Obama administration, they took to set the Security Community Act and came up with something called the PP something, which was similar but was designed not to have those problems.
Right.
And then when Trump became president in 2017, he immediately put the Secure Communities Act back in force.
Right.
And both Obama tried to use the supremacy clause to say to publics that you can't say no to this.
Yes.
Federal law takes precedence, and went back and forth, got this big thing. So here's the thing. In 2007, I have a recording of Joe Biden giving a stump speech, and he was probably president at that time, where he said, no great country can be put in a position where it can't control its borders. He wanted to talk about all the border problems and how the Republicans were at the fault because they wanted cheap labor, and how if he was president, he would solve all that stuff. And here's the thing. The day he was inaugurated, he suspended the Secure Communities Act. Yeah. He suspended deportations for 100 days. He invited asylum seekers to come in, and we all know what happened as a result of that. An estimated 10 million people in this country, so unvetted, and it's just crazy.
Because of when with relationship to time and full lines. Conclude. What is your conclusion of all of this? It's a very good call.
This current problem was caused by Joe Biden. You know what I mean? And it's civil disobedience on these local administrations who are supporting those who are. And one thing I say to people who talk about Minneapolis, tell me how many police officers were killed in the last 4 years by illegal immigrants. Tell me how many Americans were molested and killed by illegal immigrants. And so let's not, I feel bad of what happened in Minneapolis. But let's put it on an even keel here, and let's not just see it from one side.
These are anti-Trump demonstrations. These aren't.
Of course.
I mean, remember the ones like no kings. Okay, fine, but that's really what this is. It's about, this is the true hatred of Donald Trump, and that's what the demonstrations are about. It's hardly at all about, ICE is just a representation of Donald Trump.
Well, and I think the ultimate irony is in May of 2024, they clamped down on the border. Biden administration clamped down on the border and tried to go around because all of a sudden it was political season and they knew the votes weren't going to be there. Also, now the borders are secure. So 3.5 years, you let millions through, and all of a sudden you want it's the ultimate hypocrisy.
Well, it was that if you read, for instance, the Somalis and how all of that arranged and came there. Remember, folks who have seen Black Hawk Down, that's Somalia. And there was no reason. Here again, it's interference. It was during the Clintons. The Clintons sent the Rangers, but at the same time, they didn't send any armor. They didn't send anything that was really going to be needed. They just sent the representation of those young men. And then George Bush brought the Somalis in, and it was that system that was set up by Barack Obama. And I talked to people. I got $20 that said not a nickel of that theft stayed in this country. It went back to Somalia. Those people, I've told folks, they don't. We went to their country first. They came to ours, and they totally understood how the system worked, and they were able to take it and do what they did with it. And that idiot governor of Minnesota and all the libs, they're the ones that gave that money away. The Somalis just...
Well, and those Somalis don't know a form of government. You know what I mean? They probably lived in the gray and black market.
They lived in they had warlords. Somalia was warlords.
And even the civilians come here don't really get what democracy means and how that works. I think it's, cultural on their part because that's what they were brought up seeing.
Yeah, so. No, you're right. And thank you. It's a very, very good call. Thank you so much. William, where's the class going to be taught?
At Heather Gardens, it's an adult education class, and I'm doing the economy and I'm doing immigration. But on a fact-based approach, I'm going to try to keep the emotions under control.
Yeah, try that. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. Be safe. Thank you. All right. Again, reading from the wall. Peter, have you had a chance to listen to Jesse Ventura's interview? Yes, I did. He's great in calling out Trump and the draft dodging coward that he is. After January 6th, this country and the Republican Party have total disregard for the Constitution, turning the U.S. into a third world country, unleashing military in the streets, disappearing people off the streets at gunpoint. This is not normal. This is not who we are. Next one. Pete, some good news. PBS is dead, and they will never be another flying documentary about the woke goon Ken Burns. Ken Burns has just done some wonderful docs. Baseball, the Civil War. I mean, that stuff was tremendous. All right, here we go. Joe from Arvada, you're on the radio show. It's Saturday, and good morning.
Good morning, Peter.
Hey, Joe.
I have a take on the Iranian thing, but I just wanted to mention you and I both love Dune by Frank Herbert.
Indeed.
And this whole thing that's happening right now, it's like we're in a nexus. All these things, these timelines are coming together. All these different countries are involved. There is this year and next year, if there is a next year, it's amazing. I encourage people to read that book.
I think so too. The spice must flow.
Yeah, it's so similar, isn't it?
Oil.
I mean, it is. It's oil, and if you read that, there's also I believe this, and I know we differ on a lot of things, but I believe that there's a messianic.
Oh, absolutely. Paul.
Nexus coming, and
Paul
was the nexus. And I won't diverge, so we don't disagree.
No, I'd love to talk with you about this because the idea of Dune. I always thought that. Who do you think the Fremen are? Who do you think they are?
Well, I am. My father was born in Tehran.
All right.
My mother is an American, Irish, English-Irish, Scotch-English-Irish. So I'm kind of a mixture. But the Fremen, I believe they're obviously Middle Eastern, I think.
Of course.
Now,
Are they?
my father
Are they
was,
Are they the Palestinians?
well, my father was Persian, okay? The
Sure.
Iranians have a lot of different cultures in them.
Yeah.
There are Arabs and there are Turks, but the bulk of the leadership is Persian. And Persians definitely kind of hold themselves to a higher standard than the other races in Iran.
Joe,
Now, I don't want to offend.
we have never done this. I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to keep you through the break because the book is Dune. The movie is out now. I guess the third Dune film is coming.
Coming December.
That's what I thought. Let me put Joe on hold because we want to do this. 303-696-1971. Good morning, everyone. 710 KNUS Denver's Talk Station. 45 will be the high. I'm going to read more of these too. So Obama was the reporter-in-chief. Funny how he was able to deport so many without using untrained mask snap. Well, I don't think so. Stay here. We're right back. Me and Joe on 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast for this Saturday will have a lot of sun and temps will start to rebound. We'll have afternoon highs in the mid-40s with lows tonight, middle and upper 20s, could rise to the low 30s by Sunday morning. Then for Sunday, sunny, low to mid-50s to end the weekend with lows upper 20s. Monday and Tuesday, sunny to partly sunny, highs middle and upper 50s with lows in the upper 20s and lower 30s. I'm meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Country music with a flute. Marshall Tuck. 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station on a Saturday. Play it. There you go. One of my favorite tunes. Huh? Wow. 710 KNUS, I'm Peter Boyles. Stay here. We have actually two lines open. I got Joe on hold. I want to do this. David Ellis in Cherry Creek. He is our guy. You've heard me talking about David for years and taking valuables to David Ellis Jewelers to get a fortune in cash. Secure an appraisal from David for all the valuables you have tucked away in your home. And it's still true. Share the other reasons to see David just in case you don't have a Rolex watch or you don't have rare coins or silver tea set. See David Ellis for all the most meaningful gift-giving occasions. David Ellis Jewelers, just the right item for just the right price and special people that mean so much to you. Valentine's Day is coming. Ta-da, David Ellis. Trusted jeweler buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado for decades. Dazzling cases filled with hundreds of new and used pieces your loved ones will treasure. Visit David Ellis and see for yourself. Look for the black awning on the corner of 3rd and Clayton in Cherry Creek. He's there as we speak, 6 days a week. Explore DavidEllisJewelry.com or call my friend David. David Ellis, 303-322-8779. 303-8779. And tell David I sent you in. 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek, David Ellis Jewelry. Joe from Arvada is on the line with us. He brought up Dune, and go ahead, Joe.
Sure, it's
go from there.
Wonderful story, and the new movies are very good. I loved them as a kid.
Oh,
I watched the first Dune movie with dissatisfaction, but these are fabulous.
Because I was waiting for the like yourself. I'm such a geek. How many of the books have you read?
I read actually all the way through Dune Messiah. There was not Dune Messiah, God Emperor of Dune.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell off. I think it was Christopher Herbert kind of took it up.
Yes,
and
he did. There's
some other ghost writers, I think, too.
Right.
I was interested in recently. They have kind of some abbreviated versions now. If you go into the kids' reading, it's really interesting.
Did you, when you read it as a boy, and then you read it as an adult, do you see the difference in the book?
Oh, it is a reflection of our world. It's intricate allegory. It really is.
That's a good way to say it.
It's amazing. One thing I would say this. Now, of course, I'm a believer. I understand. And I am studying to be a pastor. And one of the things that I have learned is Frank Herbert has something, with his messianic stories.
Yes, he did.
But the thing though that he missed is that, maybe he did it on purpose, but God didn't choose the Persians or the Middle Eastern.
But
he chose the Jews.
But the people that he becomes he's the Messiah, and he gets there in a far different way. But that Paul is a reflection of Christ. Oh, sure, but so is Edward Scissorhands. You know, is a
Well, I
and-
understand
I mean
that writer's version.
Sure, and so is in the first Schwarzenegger film when he's playing the robot that comes back. He also
The Terminator.
yeah, he also is a Messiah. Yeah, you know.
Well,
and-
John, the guy's name, what is it? Jonathan, or the kid?
the kid.
Yeah, he's messianic. Well, there are other, prophets, of course,
Sure.
in biblical history, but there's also prophets in Dune.
That's what it is.
Yes. And I think it's wonderful to look at allegory, like Lord of the Rings is a good example.
Boy, he truly is. Tolkien, it believes as you believe.
Oh, yes.
And-
And so does C.S. Lewis,
Absolutely.
The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion.
The witch in the
is,
wardrobe. That's right.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Lion is a messianic
Oh, he's
figure.
Christ. The lion's Christ.
Well, I wanted to give a breather there because I have a take, since my father is from Iran.
All right.
If all you have to do is go and live with Iranians, American Iranians here, or if you want to go to Tehran, live with them for a while, you'll realize they're ready to get rid of the Ayatollah.
I want to believe that. I hope it's true. But remember,
Oh, yes.
remember now, the emperor, when the emperor is forced to come to Dune,
Yeah.
that's the showdown. But remember, he brings, I can't think of his name in the
The
book.
Harkonnens,
Well, they're Harkonnens, but who's the
Baron von Harkonnen.
well, there's there are two brothers, and the one is just awful, but he'll do the bidding of the Baron, but then the Baron has the other son.
The Atreides?
Paul's an Atreides, but
Right.
they have the legendary fight at the end in
Fade.
Fade. Thank you, and they have that fight in the end. And that's
I think Sting was a fabulous Fade.
I thought he
by the
was
way.
too. I thought he was too. But
He was really good. He was multi-talented person. Is, I should say.
but they brought
Sting.
that movie was done once before, and I went to see it, and it was totally missing. And
Yeah,
what
it was not
about.
good.
But what
It was a B movie.
Yeah. So what does Frank Herbert? And again, I love having this conversation. That people that have read the book are going, okay. Everybody else goes, what are they doing? But
Well, see, he sees things that Christians, believers,
Right.
they when they see, like for instance, when you go to when the Quetzalcoatl Haderach
Yeah.
went to the place that no other
right.
person could go, that's very similar. When we pray, we can pray right in the throne room of God. Now, only Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father. So he's our advocate in heaven.
come
He's
back-
the only one.
come back to the book. Come back to
Well,
Dune.
the book, Paul was able to go to the place that none of the other females that were
Oh, that's
gifted
right.
with the vision.
But they bred for him. Remember when the
well,
lady?
they tried to not have him,
Well, but
Jessica
Jessica did.
she went against their
That's right.
order.
And who were they? Who were the sisters?
Oh, the Bene Gesserit.
Who are they? And I'm getting yelled at. I'm getting
Well,
yelled
they
at.
were all they were a lineage of women that
Yeah.
had continued to have women because they knew that if they had a
All right.
male, it would
Who
be
were-
the
who was
Messiah.
Who was the guild? Who was the guild?
The guild, the corresponding to the guild is the multinationals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Spice must flow.
Yeah, it's just like Exxon.
Well, and finally, who is the emperor?
Oh, that's a really good question. So in our, in our current world, we could look at, the president maybe,
Yeah, all right.
but we could also look at some of the leadership of the European unions, and there's a lot of interesting things. But let me just say this.
Real
I'll
quick.
get out of the way.
All right.
We are coming to a nexus where I do believe we are going to see some messianic things, like there will be a prophet coming soon, because before Jesus returns, just like John the Baptist, there will be a prophet to set the way.
You take care of yourself.
And
Have a weekend.
yeah.
Hi, man.